Brothers killing brothers, sisters dissing each other. Children they split siblings now missing each other. From secret societies you removed all the covers. Abused cause some choose to be ID'd by color. Negro and black or claim a fiction on the map. Thought power is wasted on the idle god crap. Nuisance solutions, following illusions. We are old world orders but we scared of new ones. Some stuck on stupid and being humans. Some hoping Cupid would find her a new man. Sis, it will never be him, only you can. Find the one's nose that won't go like Pinocchio or Toucan. Once you think you can't, you probably won't. Might as well be hanging on a Klansman rope. Might as well jump in the coffin to get shipped up north to Canaan land, hoping someone opened the casket doors. As soon as it opened, they got a cross in your face between two slices of bread, pig marrow paste, sugar down, purple stuff, limbs hurt enough. Not free from slavery, but you doing dirt for hurting cuffs.
For the record, we in the club. We all brothers and sisters, so we in the club. Well, we all members of the Moorish side separate. We got this going on. And no, that's not what this movement is about. This is a national movement. The nation is out there. The only reason you're here is your job is to go redeem them.
Well, Islam, welcome to Sisters Standing on Law. I hope you did a little bit of your aerobics. Maybe it was a little early, but then again, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's the hour. This is Sister RVBey, who's Sister Standing on Law. Sister Anita will not be with us again during our broadcast this past Tuesday. And we want to know that, excuse me, that if you have been calling or texting, because it's phone number that you can call, I don't mean texting, calling, emailing, because there is a phone number you can call once you email in regards to your papers being sealed and the status of them. Please be a little patient because Sister Annie's mother is in the hospital and is transitioning as we speak. So with that being the situation and a little stress to her and to her family, and patience with yourself in regards to why you may not have attended to the phone line, the special phone line for those who have clicked in the status of their paper sealings, not cards, paper. And that again to remind us all, and you can tell someone else so that they could just be a little patient with that in these times. But, it's funny because I was also in a few emails, someone had me attended to, et cetera. And, I was going to an email that's not an email that is nowhere on the site, nor is it in any instructions. And I'm saying all of these people who were emailing the wrong email. And it's not like, I'm not talking about the ones who email like 7. They find whatever email they can and they just email them all, which is so rude. I mean, I know how they feel or where they're thinking, but it's really incorrect. It's so funny how our people talk about how we should properly, have ethics and procedures, but yet they respect none that might sometimes. I'm not talking to everyone. I want you to pass. But they'll talk about having proper procedures, ethics, codes, business, all of this stuff. But they respect none of them on their own, even when, many of them on their own. Even when someone puts something in place, it just gets trampled right over. So I have to make another announcement to all those who are sending emails to the wrong email that has nothing to do with anything, and that's the only email you're sending to it. I can tell by reading it. These are not like emails that just happened since last Tuesday. These are emails that have been coming and no one answers because it's not monitored and what has to do with it. So the person that deals with that email, they could be taught. I'm just saying, this is something to consider, to totally ignore anything there that doesn't have to do with the mission there. And it would, a lot of times we don't follow directions. We know this is part of our situation. We know this is part of our situation present day, not separating ourselves from those who don't know how to comprehensive read or don't know how to follow instructions, but come in and being all together as one. We have to honestly admit that this is part of our miseducation, misdirection, mistraining, and that we don't follow this. So there's a bunch of them. Now, here's the thing. Then they go out. I'm going to lead to our topic today, which is the Astro-logics and the total solar eclipse and the effects on you, but I have to get to that right now. So then they'll go out and they'll what they call, or what I hear, the word badmouth RVBey. We're going to badmouth RVBey. And it's crazy because, people feed up for that kind of thing, but they don't turn and reflect and look at that and see, what it is that they might need to do. So then now you're going to have someone say, well, what's going on? I've heard so much bad mouthing about RV. So I was not saying, well, you're going to hear it for forever, all right? You're going to always hear bad mouthing about other people, always. People, friends, have joy in doing so. However, none of us are perfect, and that doesn't mean that our intents aren't good and that our work isn't good. Sometimes exemplarily good. That doesn't mean that. So it's just one of those things that were coming. And it's good that I'm getting at now because once this solar eclipse is going to have let's say, a greater effect on the people on this North American continent, even if you don't get to see it, it's going to affect everything because it does anyway all the time. Twice a month, new moon, full moon, or at least once a month. New moon, full moon is always going down. Always. You just don't see it. So what does that mean? It means that it's all about perspective sometimes. It is one's perspective that allows them to act, react, or whatever they're going to do. It's from their perspective, and guess what? It's not just from an eye perspective. When I was in school, we had art, right? I'm recalling this because I know some of you may have the same experience. We had to do art projects in the art class. This is college, entry, first year, whatever. And they had to have us draw something, so they took a small little thing. The drill, right? A small thing, and you're supposed to draw the paper to show how the perspective of that small thing hides something behind it that may be huge, right? So that perspective, that was a lesson in perspective with the eye. But what about the perspective with what you can't still has effect? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about astro-logics. When we're talking about the effects of the planetary bodies and their energy. You see, so you got your eye perspective. Then you've got your non-seeing without the eye perspective. That's the one that has to be in tune more with self first. And with the energy and the energy rays, if you will, that every single planet emits, but you do not see every movement of an energy effect of every planet, even during the day. Just because it's daylight doesn't mean that those other planets and energies aren't there. However, the noble sun, is when it rises, that blinding light, if you will, or that bright light, if you will, kind of kills all the noise, if you would think of it that way. Because I think of expressing the effects of astrology by putting you and people and us as those energies just to describe kind of energies that you have. You're emitting yours, the other planet, and the other person or is emitting theirs, but I'm talking planet. And so what happens in that? What type of energy is it? Is it malefic? Is it benefic, meaning that it abandons, meaning that it doesn't have a purpose to try to change. It doesn't. It's a pleasant or more benefic, expanding energy such as Jupiter, the moon itself, your planets, Neptune, Mercury. Mercury's like the messenger. Look, I don't care. I'm just bringing message. Don't shoot. The messenger comes from the Mercury energy. Trust me. Which happens to be in retrograde today. So, what's my attention in my electronic equipment does retrograde when Mercury's in retrograde, it's like a happen. It's like it happens. Now, it might happen to you too, but you got to attribute it to any of the energy. So today, we're going to discuss a little bit about the solar eclipse and the effects. Now, let me say that although my sister Ada is not on the line, it gives great energy out to her and her family, I got to bring in Sister Jayana. Hold on, let me get her in. Because she's going to be sharing some great, I see you, Dan. Let me see. Let me open you up. There you are. Sister Jayana, are you with me this afternoon?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I sure can. You sound well. Sound good?
Okay, great.
You all right?
Yeah, I am. You sound a little muffled a little bit, but that's why I'm asking. Do I sound that way as well? Is it the?
No. You know what? Hold on a moment. Let me do something here because I'm trying with the new. Hold on.
All right.
All right. Do I sound better now?
Yes, that's better.
Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So then
yes, it's much clearer. It was a little like muffled a little, and I wanted to. Yeah. It's much
but I hope
better
everyone got my message thus far. I hope it didn't muffle it too badly.
Yeah.
We're talking about the energies, right? And you sound fine.
And I wanted you to kind of I didn't get to hear the part. I heard Uranus. You said something about Uranus, but I couldn't hear it that well. So if you can repeat it.
No, I didn't say Uranus. I said I was saying Mercury is in retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
And I said Jupiter. I was talking about benefic planets, and depending on the energy of the planet, as they are, next to each other, or if it's 180 degrees away from each other, then of course that's the mathematical or geometrical. 180 is a opposition or whatever like that. I was saying that people. I like to use the people in place of the planets to begin to understand the explanation of what's happening with the energies that, although we do not see the planet, the energies are still affecting, even in the daytime, after the sun has risen. And that light that it has blanks out all the other light. I don't recall me saying Uranus. I don't know. Is that what?
That's probably because it was muffled. It was muffled. I couldn't hear it well. So I apologize. I'm like, what you say about Uranus? Okay. Yes. And so, go ahead.
Well, you must have something you want to say about Uranus. I mean,
yes. So to the solar eclipse.
I know.
I'm excited because it's just been a huge talk about it. As you know, and even in the news in the city I'm at, they like got a countdown and on the billboards. It's like a big thing, whatever. And but the funny part, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. The funny part about it is that it's either people are recognizing this energy that's about to come, or people are scared. It's been people who's just been scared of, the solar eclipse, saying like, it's going to bring bad things, it's going to be terrible, and everything like that. So I just wanted to, speak on that because the solar eclipse does block the light of the sun, but, it's not really, to me.
Right.
To me personally, it doesn't mean that the darkness is evil. It's a lot of things that. Yes.
Can I give an example?
Yes.
Let me give an example so we can ease the mind. Because, if it's all in the air, it's all in the mind, and people don't even understand what is all in the air, because in reality, an eclipse happens all the time. You just don't get to see it. necessarily. So now that you're in your foot, right, and that's because of the perfect, positioning of the. Now everyone knows the moon goes around the Earth, but the perfect when it's on the right elliptical and it's just in the perfect spot. Again, I give you perspectives because you just can't see what's happening all the time. In fact, the total. Some people say, well, I've heard there's even a song called The Total Eclipse of the Moon, but is that the same as the total eclipse of the sun? No, not really, because the eclipse of the sun is when the moon is in between, it's in the middle, if you will, all right, in between the sun and the earth. The eclipse of the moon is when the earth is in between the sun and the moon. See, so those are just positioning of the always moving activity that's going on, even though you don't see it. Now, I would like to say this, just to give an example. People say it's, like you said, it's doom and gloom. Well, listen, remember the movie Apocalypse? Remember when Jaguar Paul was, he was trapped by his own people, by strange other tribal families that was into cutting off heads and sacrificing for their God, quote unquote God. And the little girl had did a prediction for him while they was marching him down, to that location. And she did a prediction. And she said, and the day will turn night. And she's saying that you're going to outrun the jaguar. Right. Remember that? Well, remember the moment where it was time for him to, it was time for him to go on the chopping block, literally. And there was a total eclipse of the sun. And so the people thought that, oh, my God, our God has come. We don't have to sacrifice people anymore. And they all, they ceased from, he didn't get his head cut off. And they ceased from doing it, and they bowed down and all of that. Well, I don't know. I would say that was a good thing, wouldn't you, for him? That was a good thing for him. He didn't get his head chopped off.
Yeah. And then also, people got to look at it as, for instance, even if things were to so-called, quote-unquote, bad things happen, because I'm not really a big believer of anything bad happening. I just believe that things happen for a reason, and the universe makes no mistakes. So when things happen, even if something was to happen, it's only to expose those, that are that mostly hide. And so when the sun being the representation of the eagle, right? So the eagle is being pushed to the side during this solar eclipse. So people's egos are being pushed to the side, and now their true self is being revealed. And so only thing that's really happening is So the only thing that's really happening is that inner self or that unconscious self is being revealed, and now you seeing the real for people for their real. And so it's more of an exposure so that you can heal, because if people didn't know, it just, and so now when the brightness of the sun comes back again, it's going to be even brighter, because that means that now you got even more light to add to this. So
let's do this. This is great, because think about it. Sometimes, you want people to think about things in a sort of, think about it for a second. The sun will rise. The sun will be doing its thing. It's bright. It's always there. But like you said, and like Noble Drew Lee says, he says that although the sun hangs at high noon, people comprehend it not. And we exactly what you're saying. So now imagine that the sun is there, the light is on, it's all bright, and all of a sudden it goes complete darkness for usually about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, right? But who knows, right? Because the universe will do what it wants to do, but the course is there, so usually it's about that time. And then you're in darkness. It's like if your electricity went out and you had no candles, no nothing. You're just a total darkness. And then, boom, the light comes back on, right? But this is that's like a reset, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a reset. So it is definitely a reset for the universe. And so since it's actually being viewed and on the American soil, this time it's going to be a reset for us over here in America, as well as everybody else and everywhere in the world. But it's just going to be a big emphasis on that. And so it was something I was reading.
I love your
reading some astrology.
I love the way you said it. Before we move on, let's go back to that effect, because you're right. Whenever a person, for instance, is born with the sun and the moon in the same place, those people have a ability. Now, whether they condition it or not, or recognize it or not, because no one goes, gets into Astro-logics when that's the true law, the length, the angle, and the width of these angles of light of different planets. But I love your reset. You're saying that as it is when you have the sun conjunct with the moon in your sun, you have the ability to truly reflect on self-counsel, acknowledgement, because you can't fix something. I'll use the word fix something unless you acknowledge that it exists. So what you're saying is true. In case, for those who don't know anything about that, never had anybody, tell them and put their ego down or whatever, it's getting ready to be a quick flash. But that flash is going to be so strong that you will not be able to. Now, let me say, some people are having urges right now prior to, especially 3 days prior to that, to do stuff that they've been meaning to do. You know what I'm saying? To get stuff out of the way, to do something that you've been wanting to do, to clean stuff up, to clear the way. It's almost like the spring cleaning, as they call it, which is really every season. But that's what's going to happen. But what the off guard thing, as you're saying, is those who do not know about the power of the light and of their internal self and their ego are going to quick flash on it at this time. So yes. And can we add that to? And then and I want you to move on there, but can we also add in here, because you said something. You said people are fearing. Now, this is going to happen. Look at where it's happening. It's starting out in Midwest, Oregon.
Yep.
Right? Oregon. All the way down to where people will really be able to actually see the total eclipse portion is from Oregon to, I believe, Charles? Is it Charles? Somewhere in North Carolina. I don't know if you know about that.
North Carolina. Yeah, I know North Carolina. I don't remember where, but I know it's in North Carolina. It's south. It's just a little bit. Yep, it's in North Carolina somewhere.
Right.
It was all the way down there.
Right. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Always had in the midst with people who hold on to the liberties and rights all the way down to the South, North Carolina, which we consider Little Africa a while ago, what they called Africa, where the slavery was. Do you hear what I'm saying? The destruction, as they say? Yes. See, we have to really read into this as to what's happening. So it's going to affect people all over. And that same effect is like, for instance, if it's all in the air, it's all in the mind. If it's all in your mind, it's all in the air. People are now, what are they fearing? They're literally fearing about, these people bringing up the Confederate flag. You aware of that? They're concerned about
I'm
your...
Oh, yes. No, I am not. No, I've been reading a lot about Trump. But that's the only thing I've been hearing people say. But no, the Confederate flag, what? What did they say about it?
Okay, this is the distraction. It's always a distraction to distract people from these major things that go down. You know that, right? So, yeah, you've been reading a lot about Trump and all the stuff. But basically, if I could just nutshell it, is that you and I know that he riled up all the what they call hate groups, right, in order to be with him during his campaign time, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So now this thing that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, right? Massive hate groups, or what they call hate groups, modern Europeans marching, and other modern Europeans marching against their own All right? Remember that that they're going to be fighting each other. Well, that's what's actually happening right now. What has happened as a result of that is Trump had to get on the national television or the TV media and put down, not support hate groups. You didn't know that? This all just happened in the past week. You didn't know this. I have people emailing, wondering, oh my gosh, it's, these modern Europeans are raising up the Confederate flag. Is this the way it's going to go? Now, let me tell you. And they're fearing it. Yeah. And I'm like, first of all, the Confederate flag is a British flag. How many people know that?
Uh-huh.
When they had these modern Europeans in slavery. Got to watch the Book of Negroes. It's a 6-week course. But anyway, and just do some more studies on it. But that's, first of all, that's what that is. All right? So it's a representation of when they were actually in slavery, but they're raising it because that was raised with the so-called states that did not want to end slavery. So that's what people attach it to, right? Exactly. So now these modern Europeans are raising their Confederate. They're mad as hornets at Trump. And they're raising the flag that our people are worried about, oh, is this the way it's going to go? I'd say to you, reset your mind, because if you're worried about these people raising a flag and thinking that's going to set the tone of the land, I say to you, you have a flag to raise of the people. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing that. See, we won't do that because we are mentally, conditioned to watch whatever the modern Europeans do and say that sets the stage of where we Moors as a people are going to go next. We're so into what they're doing that we're not aware of what we need to be doing. You follow what I'm saying? And we fear because they're raising the Confederate flag. Let me tell you what might happen there. This is just my opinion, this portion right here, but it is not unlikely. I will not be surprised if these modern Europeans, raising this Confederate flag and others, who really are fighting each other right now, and we don't see enough and know enough to see that is what's happening, and the blood spill in this land is going to be started with them for the most part, provided we stay out of the way and let them do what they're doing. I would not be surprised if they don't go and rain down on the White House, because they are so pissed off, and try to burn it down once again, because it isn't the first time in history that it has occurred. So when you talk about the fear, and we're talking about this reset and with the eclipse, and the ego facing, the inner true self, and that's what's actually being told, because something has happened. Because I tell you, that event down in Charlottesville, if you didn't know about it, the energy from all that hate, and I know a lot of people didn't know about it. My son had to give me some information. He went and looked it up. When that was going down, they were getting in cars, Sister Joanna, and running over each other. We're talking about
I heard about that.
Yes. What about this, though? 2 helicopters were up in the sky. You know how they had the police helicopters to look down and see what's going on with the crowd? Do you know that the 2 helicopters crashed into each other? Yes. That energy of war and hate was that strong, concentrated there. So anyway, he had to go against them, and they're now going against him, and that's what's actually going on for all the quote-unquote constitutionalists, as they call themselves, and hate groups on the other flip side of that, and a lot of that is out in the Midwest, because remember, the people in the Midwest, they never gave up their liberties. The modern Europeans, they and even in the South in some places, we were just down south, they travel in their conveyances, they get out the car, they got what you call open carry. They carry their arms. They don't allow their liberties to be infringed upon, and that's really what this is all about. It's about, this is really about slavery from the beginning of time, enslaving another being, taking someone else's freedom and liberties out of fear, really. And I think, as you're saying, it's time for us to really look at that. So I wanted to say that's the fear distraction that's going on while this is going on. So continue. I don't know how that fits into what you're thinking now. Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to read this passage that I found. It was an article that I found. It's called Intuitive Astrology. I just wanted to give everybody the source. It's on so that's where I'm reading from. But he said the ancients believed that during a solar eclipse, the light of the sun would give way to darkness in order to be transformed. The momentary darkness was believed to be highly spiritual and awakening moment that would help the sun to return even brighter and stronger in the sky. To aid in this awakening process, the ancients believed that divinely inspired information from higher realms will be sent down to earth during the window of the eclipse. In fact, the ancients believed that when a solar eclipse fell in the sign of Leo, it indicated that that there would be some enlightening message regarding the king or the queen. Furthermore, under this solar eclipse, Mercury is also in retrograde, which you were saying earlier. So this emphasizes the idea that.
Jayana, can you also make sure that the people listening know that this is what's happening now, that the sun is in Leo, and so therefore so is the moon, because the moon is conjunct with the sun on.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The sun and the moon is in Leo. Because I know we got. Okay, so the sun and the moon is in Leo. Leo represents heart, children, love, bravery, the lion, the heart of the lion. Leadership. Just all of that. And then it can also represent, if you're not, really balanced, it can be unbalanced or an what is it called? Imbalanced ego, where the ego is big. Yeah, exactly. And so Leo being in the sun, that's the sign that the sun rules. The sun rules Leo. So that's at home. Leo's at home, so it's shining. And so Leo in the moon, which is the mother, is also still good. It's not as fine, but it's still, because it's in both signs, it amplifies that Leo energy being coming from the moon and the sun. So wherever the moon goes, that represents mother. So that's why it traverses around the Earth and all 12 solar stations in 28 days, because it's in tune with the cycle of mother. So it's bringing that good portion about Leo, which is the teacher and the children, like that. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then so real fast, it was a question. A question was sent to me. And so since you were speaking about the moon already and the mother energy, the question is, what about animals and spirit animals? Do night animals function from the energy from the moon, while humans function from the sun's energy? How does the moon affect humans? So I'm thinking that the question is, maybe they don't know that the moon affects humans. Maybe the moon maybe in some books it's saying that the moon only affects animals, because, you always hear the full moon and the wolf thing. And then so maybe the sun energy affects only the humans. So could you explain to the listener how the moon it really affects the humans?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first I would say that, most definitely it affects all water, period, on the earth. And I know that we're made up of what? More than 75% water? So that's right out the window. That's right out the window with that. And when the moon, in fact, on this particular, there'll be high tides for certain. Whenever the moon, especially, is a new moon, and a new moon, as opposed to the full moon, means that the moon is conjunct with the sun, whereas a full moon, it's when the moon is polar reflection. So that means if it was the full moon and the sun's in Leo, the moon would be the moon would be in opposite, right, Aquarius or whatever it is, opposite. But a new moon means it's conjunct. So you find a lot of the tides will definitely be raised regardless. whenever there's a full or new, the tides of the oceans, of the earth, every water. And that affects humans, absolutely. To disconnect that is to disconnect, again, the mother energy, I think. But to explain the difference in the sun, you already said it. The sun affects the ego, the spirit. I would say it animates the sun, the soul, if you will. It animates
right. And also the moon affects our inner conscious, our the inner you, the spiritual side of you, the unconscious that you don't really reveal. The sun is just like, there's definitely the ego, but it's not a bad. It's not a bad. It's just all the way how you want to do it. If you balance and which way, or you in your higher self or your lower self. And then also this is Eclipse. It say the eclipse new moon in Leo rises as the queen within takes her throne on the seat of the heart of the love. Divine feminine energy comes through the veil to awaken humanity to its true power in love. A new way is calling the outmodel, short-sighted, repossessed way of the patriotic are no longer tolerable or permissible. We the people awaken and new leaders step forward. Together we rise in consciousness for humanity. Together we cast away the illusion of separation and set forth to heal the divinities or divines within ourselves, our partnerships, and our communities. Each of us has the power to shift the realm with the heart as we let go, forgive, ask for forgiveness, and move through our collective grief to our seat of our personal power within the heart of love. Yeah. And so, so let me go back. So back to the Mercury being in retrograde. So we got this eclipse going on where some information is going to be revealed because, and it's a new moon, so new creation is going to be created. But since Mercury is in retrograde, that also shows that all the facts are not going to be easily accessed, as you say. So some people, like we got now, are going through that battle, like, what's going to happen? Does that mean that they put up the flag? Does that mean that this is going, so all the information is not absolutely going to be out there. It's just for the ones who knows with the eyes to see, because Mercury is in retrograde, so the message is not going to be as clear as, that. So you're really going to have to dig in to even get that.
That's always the case when Mercury's in retrograde. But believe me, when it comes out and when the sun, now remember the sun and the moon, like you said, is in Leo. Well, where is it going next in 2 more days? You see, because this is happening on the 21st. Yes.
Virgo, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Going into the mother sign.
Yeah. They're both the sun and the moon. This is very strong. But again, like I said, it happens. But they're both going to be moving into Virgo.
That's right. And also, they're both going to be moving into Virgo, and along with, but it's still going to have that Leo imagery, because remember, I think it's the star Regulus, which is normally like a Leo constellation, in Virgo as well.
I'm telling you, and guess what? So what does this mean? Virgo is the virgin mother or daughter, and she's going to what is Virgo? What does the Virgo have to do? What does the mother have to do? You relate it to the time of that's going on in terms of harvest on the earth. You relate it to also what mother has to do, period. And that is when you see the Virgo, the virtuous woman or daughter, she has the wheat in her hand, because here's something else we're missing. We're getting ready to go into fall. It seems like summer just got here, right? But the fall is coming in. We're going towards that. So what have you planted? What seeds have you planted? What will you be reaping? What, for your harvest? So she's got the wheat in her hand. She's got to decide, which is why Virgos have a decision problem on this level that I'm giving it to you now, is she has to decide who gets the daggone wheat.
That's right.
Discernment. Yes. That's what it's representing anyway. Now, that representation is in you as well. So as a mother, you have to make all the decisions on how things are going to go, what we're going to do, how we're going to maintain, how we're going to distribute what we have, etc., like that. That's really what it's representing. So now we're going into to Virgo for discernment, because this is a cycle that happens all the time, and it happens. And even though you can look at the astrology wheel and you can tell the story, go around and tell the story and all that, all of that is within you on an individual basis. So you have to perfect or gain the knowledge necessary for your soul's ascent based on that wheel. That maybe that wheel for me, when I look at those lessons and those movements and activities on that wheel, maybe when I get it, it's my time. But when you get it, it's in your time. You understand what I'm saying? But the point is, you got to get it, because this is what is going on. So I want to say this, speaking of the Virgo and the Virgin. This is from the Virgil, 4th Eclogue, from the Messianic prophecy of the Sibyl. And it says, now has come the last age of the Song of Chile. From the renewed spirit of the ages, a new order is born. Now the Virgin returns. That's the Virgin Mother, right? The reign of Saturn returns. To put in order, right? Which is where you find governmental principles under that same category. Now, a new generation is sent down from heaven on high. This is all hinged upon the mother. And when they say virgin, the first thing people think, Jayana, she's never had sex. No, virtuously. The virtuous one, we can go into Circle 7 on what that means, but this is where we are now. I'm going to give another explanation of why Saturn is included in this. I mean, some people might be wondering, well, why is Saturn included? Because, when you look at the cycle of life, period of your life, and you come into this world, and the first 6 houses represent the first 3 houses, represent, the first 3 of those 6 represent your independent, personal. They're all personal houses. We have not crossed the social line yet into the fall equinox and into the social world where Capricorn awaits. Because when you get to the social with Libra and the balancing scale and with the equinox, this is all representative because it's all about you. It's all about us and applying it. When you get there, Libra may judge you, but one thing she won't do is discipline you. She's only judging you, balancing it. You hear me? Saturn, and if you look at your chart, and if you know about the energies, Saturn is totally exalted whenever Libra is around. So in Libra, Saturn is exalted because she's going to give you the discipline. She's going to make the judgment line, but he is going to discipline. So now you look at that. You see Libra right here on the 7th house. As soon as you and your children that you raise out of your home with their 3 personal independence and then their 3 personal subjectives, right? Then they cross over that social line and they're coming to the social world. Same thing, the equinox, Libra, right there. All right, now they're going into that. What are they bringing with them that they need to deal with, fix, or whatever? Because when they get to the midheaven, which is where Capricorn rules, he's going to spank your behind if you don't have it right, and you will not get through the reigns of Saturn when you try to ascend out of here. This is all representative. And this is why, like you said, it's a reset, but for some, they may not see it because they don't have the eyes to see or their ego's too big or whatever. Well, guess what? Saturn doesn't really care because nature has no respect for person or station. It just is what it is. You are going to learn those lessons one way or another, period.
Okay.
So, yes. So when people say, well, my home life was a wreck, it was bad, it was this, it was that, well, guess what? That's because that the fourth house, the fifth, and the sixth are what you are subjected to, manifesting the flesh and having this experience. So, once you get to the three personal subjective houses, you may have been subjected to a bad home life or what have you. You know what I'm saying? Or you may have made decisions once you get to Leo. This is really relative in a way here for today, since the moon and the sun is in Leo, and it's conjunct, and it's total eclipse in Leo. Once you get to Leo, the question is, how are you spending your time, your energy, your relations? It doesn't mean sexual, just what you are doing with what you have, and what are you creating, which, of course, children are included in that. That's why they kind of rough that down to, well, Leo's the house of children. No, it's deeper than that. Not just that one thing. It's about how you spend your time, including your little love affairs. Doesn't just mean love affairs. How you spend your time, period. What you create. How you spend what you have, whether it be finances or time or whatever. So then you get to the sixth house, which is Virgo, right? Because remember, ages go the other way. So now you're in Virgo, and all that means is, how are you going to serve others? Now they've reduced that to say, the sixth house is your house of job. No, it's your house of service to man and mankind. That's what it is. And once you have all of that in line under the personals, now you or your child steps into the seventh house, which is the first house of social affairs. And if they don't come right, like I said, let me say it again. Now the Virgin returns, virtuous woman. The reign of Saturn returns, because Saturn will kick your butt. So that is just where we're marching into, what is happening and always happens. So, it's good that we understand what that astrology will mean, because what we're talking about here is really Astro-logics. When we're talking about the sun, the moon, any of it. The rising of the tides, and I want to go back to what you were saying, how the moon affects, or maybe it only affects animals. No, if the moon rises the water and rises the tides on the entire earth, if an animal's way of reacting to that is to start howling, then let him howl. That's what he can do. Mm-hmm. Look at the behavior. Right. See, this is how we have to look at that. But then you have to look at the behavior of what people do, or what, so it's just a matter of that's their reaction to the same energy. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
And then the password. Everything is moving into Virgo. Everything is moving into Virgo. The sun, the moon, everything will be moving to Virgo after this solar eclipse. So this is definitely a beginning of what people will call feminine consciousness, but not excluding male or nothing. It's just a balance. It's just a balance of the feminine and the masculine together in Virgin Mother. So the fixed star that I was saying about, the regular fixed star that was in Leo, it was there for 2,000 years. Because it doesn't, like the star, it takes a long, long time for the signs to move out of the star. And so now it's going to be in Virgo for 2,000 years. This is like the beginning. And then so that's the sign of divine feminine and the virgin. And remember, like you were saying, the Virgo or virgin, originally meaning of the word is woman who owned herself or was owned by no man. And so this starts up like a huge shift in the leadership from masculine or yang to feminine to yin. So with the leadership, it's going to be shift too. Everything's going to be shift to the feminine side. So we're going to get from people being leaders for fame and power to people being leaders to serve the people and to serve Mother Earth. And that's just the truth. It's just going to shift from ego to serving the people and truly serving Mother Earth. and that feminine side. And so it's a big shift from that masculine energy to that feminine energy, and just mothers taking her place, because this is a standing on law. So this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now that's interesting. That is interesting about the shift. And you're right, from ego to serving and love. Well, back to coming out of Leo, right? The heart. So that fits right in with what I'm saying about the new age, because it has to shift to mother, because that's what nature is about. And as I said to you about trying to sort of like, oh, I don't know, the moon's not really for people, and that's not true. Hold on a minute, I'm trying to get this my butt back in for some reason. That's just not true, because I know, especially most of us are under the patriarchal Christian quote unquote religion or dogma, actually, and I know that that's one of the things that they did. They came off of the lunar calendar. That was one of the things that there was a total breakaway from quote unquote tradition at that time, was them coming off of the lunar calendar and being out of tune, So you're right, this shift may be back to that.
Yep.
Yep. So I think that we should really kind of concentrate so that people can really understand what's about to happen. And although it's only 3 minutes, it's powerful. It's on, as you're saying, the coming out, being able to see yourself, reflect, and pull away from the ego, as what we want to call a reset, if you will. That's going to be the biggest thing. And now what about those who do see, and then it also is going to include, you might have to get rid of certain associations and people in your life, because they talk about that. It's going to affect the relationships, because you're going to see so plainly. You may be the one who sees so plainly, and the people you're with don't, and then you may be seeing things that you can't tolerate in your spirit and your soul any longer. I mean, it changes. I mean, these types of astrological movements actually happen all the time. Like, for instance, if sometimes people say, you ever hear people say, well, I just found out that they were lying to me, or they were cheating on me, or they were whatever, or some major thing. If you really look at the cosmological positioning, there was some energy that actually forced that out at that time. You just didn't realize it. So what about those who are getting ready to go into this new, if you will, a consciousness, and suddenly they realize, I don't really know whether it's really sudden, but it will be kind of sudden, because you already know what you're dealing with for the most part, and then at some point you say, okay, I just can't deal with it anymore. Well, you'll get to that point, and then you'll start making your plans towards how you're going to change things in your life. And I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm talking about, not love relationships necessarily, but just whatever it is you're doing that is not serving to self or to and mankind, universally, in the principle of love, you're going to have to drop it.
Yep, and so it's this clip. It's only 59 seconds on Kenneland Moor's YouTube, and it's called Message on a Spiritual Solitude. And the sister, she was speaking on when she got into a certain level of consciousness, she realized that the things around her and the people around her, were different. It was everything so different, her soul, her mind, nothing. She didn't want to be around those things no more, so she had to be forced into solitude for that moment, to come back again, to be around, or, to manifest that environment that is more in tune with your conscious self now. So that's what's going to happen with those people. They're going to have to be forced into a spiritual solitude for that moment until they find themselves. Because it is it's kind of like a shock, but not really, because you kind of already seen the food, so, we always ignore until we force to make the change. Sister Roz, are you there?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't muted. I was changing my earbuds. I'm saying, yes, that is interesting, because then they're going to go right into Virgo, right?
That's right.
During that time you just said some seclusion where they will be making discernment and decisions. So sometimes you have to, go in, as you said, go in into solitude and think about it. So you will have the energies that you need to flow with these energies to come out on the other side, or whatever way you need to come out on, whatever your discernment and decisions need to be. This will be a prime opportunity to let it happen. Sometimes you have to flow with the energy, you know what I'm saying, and let them, like this people. So what about people, let's talk about this. What about people who have not let go of stuff already that you know they need to let go of? They will.
Okay, what?
I think this is, am I sounding?
You said what about people who have not? You said what about people who have not let go of?
Like
what?
Well, you just said that, really. But on a serious note, seriously, those who have refused to let go of the things that they know they need to, and it's affecting their lives in a negative way, and it has been, or it's affecting them internally, because we have external and internal. So the internal self to them, and they have been not letting go of stuff that they should have also have let go of for a long time, that has been damaging them, and they just won't let go for whatever reason. Like there are certain signs that have that capacity, and cancers is one of them, because any of them that has a claw that they grab onto, Scorpios is another. They won't let go. So this reset might be a little bit more abrupt for them, is what I'm thinking. Really make changes and let go of stuff that they wouldn't do before. This reset energy is what we're going to call it. This total solar eclipse energy. I think it's good or it's bad. Like you said, it depends on where you are. But I think it's going to, in some ways, as we know, force some people to make changes.
That's right. The prophet said, make the change or you're going to be forced to make it. And that's what's going to happen. And it's the bad that people think that's bad is really the resistance of, people going into what's really good for them. It's not really, I don't think that nothing's really bad. It's just probably the resistance. So, and so you thinking that it's a bad thing happening to your life, but really you were so hard-headed for so long, you had to get hit, like really hard. Like, okay, you're not going to get it with a little message. All right, the universe, I'm going to have to hit them with a big bang, whatever, and then maybe they'll get it. And so, because remember, we hard-headed, stiff-necked people, very hard-headed, and so that's what happened. So it's not really a bad, it's just really you was being hard-headed, so it had to come a little bit stronger. What you think about this? Before, what you think? I was thinking that maybe we can, because I know, you are a mother astrologer. Go in on, I'm going to say this for anybody who knows their rising or their ascendant. That's what you want to look at. But go in on the eclipse and where it's going to fall. So, for instance, in everybody natal chart, this solar eclipse is going to do something for everybody as a whole. As far as the energy, the conscious, like we said, we're going to be moving from leadership, from egos as a whole to the leadership to serve the people and for the higher good. But on an individual level, everybody is also going to be experiencing something within their own personal lives. And so with that's where your charts come in, and the solar eclipse is going to fall in different houses in each people's, in, you know, every individual chart. So I had put up something, put together you know, a kind of like a theme for each, what may be going on in your life depending on where the solar eclipse, you know, so it's up to the people to go look for it. But I got the, you know, description of things that happen where depending on where the solar eclipse may fall in the house, what house it may fall in your chart. And so, you know, if you don't know, I would tell everybody, if you're looking like on the internet, on the website, if they put something up and they do it by sign, most of the time they're describing your rising or your ascendant. They're not describing your sun sign, even though they will say that. It's really, they're putting this description of the rising or your ascendant sign. And so you'll have to look and see, you know, get a chart and see where the sun and the moon is at, and so where the solar eclipse fall at in the houses in your particular chart. And then with that, you can kind of navigate where it's going to be taking place in your life. And by this time, everybody should already know anyway, because the solar eclipse is not in effect tomorrow. It's already been in effect, and so it's just been slowly graduating to this time. But you know, everybody's been getting clues up until now, since the lunar eclipse in August 7th, for real. And so the solar eclipse, if it falls, go ahead. Oh, yeah, so the solar eclipse, just like a reference for people, if it falls in your first house, which you have to go look up, and the reason I'm just doing it for houses and not fast is because when you do it with the sun sign, it's kind of a little bit harder, and most of the time it's just easier to do it from your ascendant or your rising. The rising and ascendant is the same thing. Just, you know, for a heads up. So I'm just going to go by the houses, and it's up to you to find out where it's going to fall out in your chart. So if the solar eclipse fall in your first house, which is the house of, and Roz, if you don't mind to incorporate anything I missed, because I'm not as knowledgeable with all the houses like you are. But yeah, so if you fall in your first house, which is your which your house of personal development or self-recognition or self-esteem or your growth or, you know, that, then most likely the eclipse is going to influence your individuality, your personal potentials, your self-knowledge, self-confidence, self-expression, and, you know, like that. And so if you have a negative reaction to the solar eclipse, it's going to block your growth potential, maybe through like arrogance, self-gratification. Yeah. That's on a negative note, you know.
Ego,
and then
and ego.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty much. If it falls in your first house, you're going to be working on self, pretty much.
Well, do
and
you
so,
do you want to go around and do what the houses are, or if you have it in front of you, you think you had it done?
Yeah. And so, so the second house, if it falls in your second house, which is going to be considered like the finances or the house of, what's another? And some people put material status. Would you say that? I would say your job, but not your,
okay. Let me explain the difference between, because a lot of people do get that confused with the second house and then the sixth house, which is, they say, your work or your job. Right. The second house literally are your possessions, whether you came with them. In fact, on a raw basis, your possessions, when you come there, is, like you got 10 fingers, 10 toes, just your possessions, period. Which is the first material house, which is Taurus. So Taurus is the house of possessions, and in that case, some people they're people who don't know how to let go. They pile up stuff and everything, right? With the Taurus, which is what you have, and then Virgo is how you obtain or receive what you have. That's why they say it's a job, but it's really a service, right? To the universe takes it. And then Capricorn, being the last in that Trinity, is the how you use it, or what you look like, or your status of what you have. You see? And this is important. But let me go back, because you did the first house of Aries, so I would just give that Trinity too, because the Aries would be, as you said, the house of self was given there. And then the other house is 7, which is all that opposes self. And then I think Trinity is really 4, the Holy Cross. And then the 4th on this house of self is the opposite of Cancer, which would be I'm sorry, which would be Aquarius. Sorry, house of self, 1, and then the second is self-origin, which is Cancer, and then the 7th house is the exact how others see self, or everything that you do that opposes yourself, which are the people you hang around with and the things that you, relations that you get involved with. And then direct from that to make the cross is Capricorn, direct from Cancer. So that is Trinity, the house of self, all right? And now, and so all of those are facts. And then now you're at the second house, which is Taurus. And so I got to make a correction on that. Taurus is the second house of possession, well, the first house of possession, actually, but that would be the second house. And it's related, what's related to Taurus by having possession is actually the 5th house, which is Leo, which is how you spend, again, how you spend your possessions or spend your time. And then directly from Taurus is Scorpio, which is your reserves of whatever you may have. You know, people call that what's in the bank type thing, but it's your reserves for when, you know, what you have as legacy to pass on. And then directly from the Leo would be Aquarius, okay? And that's why now Aquarius, it says your hope, your wishes, and your dreams, because that's the social house, and you're thinking about how you wish you had spent your time would be direct from Aquarius. And your time, your possessions, that's how you wish you had done it in the social. So that's why they call that the house of hope, wishes, dreams, and friends. So I'll do the third one because it's only 3. So if the solar eclipse fall in your second house, your 10th house, and your 10th, your 6th, and was the Leo, a 5th will also be in effect, correct? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. This is the Holy Cross. Right. It's only 3. House of self, house of wealth or possessions, and then the third is house of knowledge. What's got to given out. Right. But right. And well, I may as well say that you can just go through it. But, yeah. No, well, go ahead with the second house. So just talking to No, I was just going to say, so if the solar eclipse fall in your second house, you know that it's going to be emphasis in your particular life on security, material, possessions, stuff like that, even finances. But it don't have to be. It can also be in your value, the value of what you value. So it's not always money. So that's that. So now to the third house. It's the solar eclipse falling in your third house. That's the communication house, and also the house of siblings. So if you fall in there, you know that the emphasis is going to be on communication, family, community, and so let me try it. So the third house, is that Gemini? The house of Gemini? Yes, that was right? Gemini, and so that's directly the Holy. And that's directly across from I was just going to say, if it's Gemini, then that means it's directly across from who? From Sagittarius, which Gemini is your basic communication. It's the 9th house, right. So your 9th house will also be affected. That's right. So will in the Holy Cross, so will the when you get to Gemini, It is the house of communication. House of communication, but really it's the cross of knowledge. So, like I said, the first is the Aries that kicks off the cross itself, and then wealth or possessions being Taurus, and then the third is knowledge, which is communication, right? You can only communicate what you know, right? So, and then also you learn the basic skills of communication from that house, and that's why the siblings, neighbors included in it. And so the opposite of that is again Sagittarius, and that's why that house on a level deals with your distant relatives or your relatives that you marry into, right? With your mate relatives, the expanded family that you joined up with after you came to the social world. So, and it also deals with Sagittarius. Also deals on a higher level because house 3 is communications and knowledge, basic, right? But Sagittarius is higher knowledge. That's why it deals with right. It deals with higher education, higher spirituality. Also, House Gemini here deals with short travel, whereas Sagittarius deals with long travel. So you'll have some people who love to do short travel because they have stuff exalted in the third house. You'll have some people who don't mind getting in and making long travel, you see, because they have that exaltation of kind in the ninth house. But the other two houses that deal with that is Gemini is the communication, but the sixth house, Virgo, this is where Virgo comes in at, right? Because Virgo is what you are communicating. That's your third thing. And then the exact opposite, as we already know, with Sagittarius is the higher knowledge, but the exact opposite. These are all houses of knowledge. There's some knowledge and otherwise, because Pisces is, the spirit, the beginning and the end, and the most spiritual of the signs. So what does it represent? If you're talking about this service, you're talking about, as you said earlier, your ability to retract, refrain, that's Pisces, right? That's why it's unseen, will by Neptune, to perfect the technique of applying your knowledge. Do that. Then you'll have people saying, yeah, well, Pisces is the house of confinement and prison and hospital, because failure for you to recoup, right, will cost you to be in confinement. It will cause you to be present. Exactly. So that's how that goes. So that's the last of the whole Trinity. So you can go on if you're going to do the other houses. The fourth house now. The fourth house is in conjunction with Aries on the cross. This is the house of self-origin, your mama's house. Cancer's house. Are you there?
And so it's the solar eclipse, fall in the fourth house, then that the emphasis is going to be on home, the root, your parents, your family, what you're familiar with, and Cancer, or the fourth house, is directly across from the what Rise tell them.
Capricorn.
Okay, yeah, Capricorn. So it's a big Capricorn word. So yeah, that's the shot.
Isn't that something? That's how people see you. It don't matter how you see yourself. Remember, the prophet said that others see you more plainly when, that's the key word, when you do not see yourself. Back to the reset. If you get ready to get it apply to yourself for real. So that's also why Capricorn is the house of social status. It is how people see you. Self is yourself. Yes, but yeah, how people see you. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So with the eclipse falling in your fourth house, it's going to be emphasis on your home, family, and then also you're going to have that effect on how people see you. I mean, it's the crazy thing about the natal chart is that it's like it's so vast. Like, you know, it's not like one little day, one little house. Everything is connected because everything is all connected. So that's why it's you know, it was said to study yourself twice because that's just how deep you go.
Yeah. And the way that I just explained the Holy Crosses, you can see how it's all connected again. It's right there. Yeah, all is connected.
And so now
on the flip side of the focus on the fourth house of home and stuff like that, I mean, there's a negative to that too, you know. I mean, you really have to look at. Yeah. What's the negative? Did you have that? You just gave three.
Yeah, and also you gotta let go. You gotta let go of the home at one point, and so that you can present yourself to the outer world. So it's about letting go. So if the solar eclipse fall in the fifth house, of course, we're talking about the Leo, which it is in the fifth house on the universal scale. It's definitely spelled in Leo, the house of the ego, but also children, heart, love, expression, creativity, all of that is emphasized on that.
Can I interject here? Because it's not to be missed that this house also indicates teachers, okay, guiders, leaders, which we know on the negative side is dictators. And this is important at this time, too, because there's a lot of people who need to let go of looking for others to be, to be their answer or their savior, you know?
Yeah.
To be their savior. Yes. And so there may be, that's definitely a necessity.
Because why? Because Leo is right across from Aquarius, who's all about everybody. So that's why. That's why it's all about you got to let go. You know what I mean? You got to let go. You got to let go and stand on your own 2 feet with that. Yep. Because Aquarius is all about humanity.
And remember, this is one of the 6 personal houses that make you up before you go into the social. So this is why this should be learned now at that time, important so that you don't go into the society, as you said, where Aquarius represents all wrong and backwards, which is what has happened with us because we don't follow the law. When I say law, I mean the universal law that is depicted and shown to you on this wheel, you know, to figure it out, and the universal energy. So, yeah, it's important, and that's what we're looking at. And it's so many people that need to realize that they're, and that's why it has to say the bigger is within, you know. It's not just needing to have someone hold your hand and change your diaper while you, you know, when you, in the social world, you're supposed to have already learned that. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Moving right along.
Yeah. Moving along to the 6th house. Which is where we are. This is where we've been at. Now that's where we're going to go after this solar eclipse is the house of Virgo, of service, of how you use everything that you learn from 1 through 5, how you use it. Like, how are you going to use it in the world, in the work-related world? How are you going to present it if you receive knowledge? How are you going to express that knowledge if you receive that root, the information from the home? How are you going to express that to the world? How are you going to serve others? How are you going to really emphasize that creativity? How are you going to bring it out into the world and make it work for you? That's what I get. And also, 6th house is health. That's on health, too, just to put that out there. 6th house is associated with the health.
Oh, no,
so it's service and health.
Yes, because think about it. If you're not healing and serve others, right?
That's right.
You can't. You just can't. and the other thing that...
so the health is on the physical and the mental. The health will be on the physical, and the health will be on the physical and your mental.
Yes. Well, ruled by Mercury. Remember, Mercury rules Virgo also. So absolutely. Absolutely. And then it goes even deeper in that, Mercury, the Virgo rules the stomach. So we're talking physical, right? Now when we talk mental, this is really interesting. When we're talking mental, that's the mind, because man is what? Mind. So what is being fed into your mind from the third house? And with your family, your siblings, and your immediate stuff, right? That's the first three circles. Now you get to Virgo, and Mercury rules that too. So you relate this to what are you putting in your body to eat or to consume, right? So there's a physical portion that Virgo rules, the intestine. It is trying to digest, discern, put out whatever you put in to the best parts of what's needed in the body. And oftentimes we don't eat the right things. We know that's our whole issue. So yes, it's a discernment of the mental information Mercury is dealing with in Gemini, and it's a discernment of the physical when you get to Virgo and the portion of the body that it rules, which is whatever you put in your body, which directly affects what? Your health.
That's right.
It all ties in. And I'll tell you one other thing that Virgo is doing. I would use the word preparation, because this is where you're being prepared. Like this is the final preparation. Because from here you make you make your decision. Remember,
from there you go to the relations to other people. Yeah.
Yes. Now, and on another level, universally or overall looking down on it, regardless of what is going on, you are now getting ready to step across this line, and whatever you got going on, good, bad, or indifferent, that's what you're literally going to bring. So, yes, preparation. And that's why it also indicates that as the fall comes in, you're moving into the winter, did you prepare? Did you plan enough, reap enough, sow enough to sustain you, to be prepared for these times where there's not much grown that can harvest off the ground? So it's all related. It's all
connected. So moving to the seventh house. Is the eclipse falling your seventh house is the house of strengthening your relationships.
Of what?
Relationships with. I said strengthening your relationships. Moving to the seventh house. Yeah. I was saying relationships with self and with other people. To be honest, and that's pretty much for the seventh house, unless you want to add something. On the relationships, just to put it in, it's not always with like a mate, like relationships and business interactions, relationships in any relationship, any type of interaction with another being at any type of level, business person. Anyway.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because as I just explained, another overlay. See, the astrology wheel, you see, what you see is based on what you know. And believe me, all of it is based on common content, meaning with science content. And it is a teaching tool and lessons upon lessons. And depending on what level you're on, that's the lesson you get. I'm so glad you brought that up, because people think that a lot of Libras that say, oh my gosh, I can't seem to find a mate this time. I don't know. I'm supposed to be a Libra. I'm supposed to be ruling the mate thing. And I'm like, well, maybe this time around, in order for you, because you have to remember, in order for you to possess something and have something, you must know both sides. So part of that is maybe this time you're not supposed to have the mate. That's one thing. So to quell all the people who think that the seventh house means you, and if you're a Libra, that you supposed to have a mate. No, The house is the house of partnership. Partnership. You have that reading, if you will, and what you bring with you, you're bringing it all with you. Partnership does not necessarily mean that it has to be a sexual partnership. Also, when you get into this will be the trinity of the three air signs, because the Holy Cross concerns the four, but the trinity of the air signs, which is communication and relation, starts with Gemini, who is just about communication, period. That's why you learn that early. That's the third house, right? And then you have Libra, who, yes, is concerned about who they will mix their blood with. And if that's what's going to be going down in terms of that type of partner of the matrimonial union. Yes, that's their main concern, yes. And then the Aquarius is the other. They are just concerned about everything and everybody, all social levels. It doesn't matter. It's people generally, the society generally. So those are the three types of communication and relations, which are all air signs that there is, and that's the energy they carry. But getting back to Libra, you are walking into partnerships. That means it could be your friend, it could be your business partner, it could just be who you hang out with, who you're allowing your cipher. That's partnering. That's relation. You're relating with them, but it doesn't mean necessarily. It's so glad you brought that out because, as I said, it means that you and yourself have stepped into the social media. And the first thing is who you want to be dealing with. Because the seventh house, what is the opposite of the seventh house? The first house, Aries, right? And in that first house, what did I say? This is the house of self. The seventh house, Libra, is the house of all that can oppose yourself, which is what you do, who you hang out with. That's what it means. And then on that same Holy Cross, the fourth house, Aries itself, but the fourth house is manners. What did you do? What did you learn? I'll say your family. Your mother's the house of mother. Because that learning from mother starts in the womb, actually. So what did you learn? Did you teach you to have manners? Did you, what from your home, from your self-origin as a physical being on the physical plane, coming in from a womb and resting somewhere in somebody's arms to cuddle you, to breastfeed you if that's what happened, to take care of you at the young age. You were in some environment, whether it was your real mom or someone else or whatever. It's still the origins of yourself come straight out of that house. That's why when you do your chart, if you see a lot of malefic and it's not well aspected from a house where it was a lot of violence. Because there's a lot of our people that come from houses that are hard that. So what are the energies that are in there? All of that makes you who you are. So now, self-origin, coming with the baggage now, crossing the line of the social, bringing all that with you. And so now you may have a child or a being that comes into the spiritual world and they partner with what you call the bad crowd or the this or whatever like that. It's the house of relations or partners who you partner with. Again, I reiterate, also means business partner. That's what it is. People can realize the importance of it.
You went muffled again.
I said I'm glad you brought that in. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Am I muffled? Okay, I know what it is. I'm glad you brought that in so people can realize the importance of it, and also on another level of the same lesson. It's like you get degrees, right? Is that your being? It's an equinox. It's the crossing line, if you will, from the personal houses into the social houses. So from that perspective, like I said, you jump out, you're being judged. Because mom is watching you. She knows all of her children, and she can tell. That's why we're going to just say, well, yeah, he always had that in him, or she, or whatever like that. And this is why the prophet says, in chapter 23, Holy and Purpose for Thy Children, he says, take their inclinations that are good and bend them to better. And he said, take their inclinations that are bad and make them to good, bend them to good. That's what you do, because these are the beings that you are going to put out into society. And yes, they are who they are, and their inclinations, you already know them, Mom. Whether you want to ignore them, but you don't, you know them. Useful to the community, the social, or not, or a slumber, or a problem.
Something to the gray hair. I forgot. Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah. I was trying to remember the quote. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes, you got it. Oh, okay. Yeah, that right there. That all is dependent upon crossing over from the sixth person and coming into the system or whatever you brought with you. So reset. Just look at it. Obviously, you more plainly when you don't see yourself, look at it and make the force to make the changes that are necessary. Don't go into the social world bellyaching and about how you were treated and how it wasn't good. Know the energy and incline them to good or to better. The ones that are bad to good and the ones that are better to bad. Actually, I think that's the word to use, better to bad. Because we all are striving on this ladder of perfection. We're not perfect, but we're always striving for it. Did you find the quote?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was saying yes,
okay. That's generally in chapter 23. It's in there.
Oh, I can pull it up real fast. I just didn't even know. It say, a wicked son is a reproach to his father, but he that doeth right is an honor to his gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what the point you were saying, or no?
Well, the one where he says, bend their inclinations that are good to better. I mean, that are bad to good, and better, that are good to best is better, something like that. That's in there. Not that.
All right. Watch the bent of his inclinations, set him right in his youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with his years.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one?
That's it. Yeah, and I think the last that it says.
Yeah,
well,
so
yeah,
it's like prepare him. Oh, it's in the Holy Instruction for Children, number 3. Prepare him early with instructions and seasons his mind with the maximum of truth. Watch the bent of his inclinations, set him right in his youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with his years.
All right, that's it. And then in the beginning it says he will be a useful or a. This is where this comes in. Upon thee also it dependeth whether the.
So just from one, consider thy art a parent, the importance of thy trust, the being thou hast produced. It is thy duty to support. Upon thee also it dependeth whether the child of thy bosom be a blessing or a curse to thyself, and useful or a worthless member to the community. Prepare him early with instructions and season his mind with the maximum of truth. Watch the bent of his inclinations, set him right in his youth, and let no evil habit gain strength with his years.
Oh, right. Perfect. And then he goes into that. And then I think the next verse is 8, right? And it says, and you know that's the astrology, right? You do know that, right? That's each sign right there. It says, what does it say on 8? Can you read that? Teach him modesty, and he won't. No, not that's the part. What's the first one say? Teach him obedience, or teach him. Read number 8.
You said we're on number 8. Teach him.
Yeah,
teach him obedience.
Yeah. That's it.
Teach him obedience and he's a blessing. Yeah.
Okay, do you know that's the astrology, right? Or you might not know that because it seems a lot of people
no,
don't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you did a whole class on it.
Yeah, right, yeah. Teach them obedience. That's the Aries. Because they come out the gate running, you know what I mean? Like he talked about if this solar eclipse is in the first house, you know, about the ego, yourself, the way you present yourself, because the first house is the way you present yourself. See, the way you present yourself may not be who you are. That's why that's the Trinity for each person is the sun, the moon, and their rising. Because the sun, the moon is their solar internal self, who they really are, and they are expressing their rising. But anyway, that right there starts with astrology. Teach him what is it? Teach him. Read it again. Number 8.
I was muted. Teach him obedience, and he shall bless thee. Teach him modesty, and he shall not be ashamed.
Okay. Aries. Teach him obedience, and he shall bless thee. That's the Aries. Teach him modesty, and he shall not be ashamed. That's Taurus. And the third one is Gemini. Mm-hmm. Charity.
Right.
No, not charity. What is it? Yes. Right? All right. And what does it say? Read the whole thing.
Teach him gratitude, and he shall receive benefits.
Gratitude.
Teach him.
Giannis and Gemini are some ungrateful people, and you know that. That's because these things were not taught to them at the extending the inclinations that they already have. So this is just a one-shot thing there to just get an idea of the child based on the astrology sign or any high activity they might have in that time. So you can see, what to do. Now, when you get to 7, for instance, like I believe, well, one of them is switched around, but, people debate that. And I know that it's true because I know that Virgo is about health and, about, one is about temperance, and Virgo and Leo is reversed. So number 8 deals with 2 things. So that would be Aries and Taurus. And then 9 deals with Gemini and Cancer. Now, Cancer, what does it say in Cancer? What does it say after gratitude? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
You know what? Yeah, for some reason, it muted you. So I was wondering, what does it say after the gratitude, which is the
he shall receive
Gemini.
benefits. Teach him gratitude, he shall receive benefits, and then teach him charity, and he shall gain love.
Okay. Now stop right there. That would be Cancer. Everybody knows charity what? Starts where? At home. That's what I'm saying. Well, charity starts at home because you teach it at home. So that's the Cancer. That's the 4th house right there. And then you go on to the 5th and the 6th with this split. And then you get to the 7th, to Libra. Yeah, go ahead. You can say it. And you can tie this all together on what this research is about.
It teach him temperance, and he shall have health. So,
okay.
Health, would that be the Virgo?
Yeah, okay. That's the 2 that's split. Because everyone knows that Virgo is the house of health. So whoever typed that made a typo, but, people, they want to chop my head off if I say that because, because people crazy words with prophet said, well, you know what? Somebody typed it wrong, all right? Because everyone knows that health is Virgo. Now, what's the next one?
Teach him prudence, and fortune shall attain him.
Everyone knows that Leo is about the fortune. Ruled by the sun and metal is gold. Prudence. And if you're a teacher, leader, guider, you have to be prudent. Okay, all right? So get into that reverse right there that people might want to argue about. But if they study astrology, they would see. Now, the next one is
Libra. Teach him justice, and he shall be honored by the world.
There, that's Libra because that's the scales of justice. My God, the balancing for judgment. Being just, right? Right there. So these are just one-time shot on, recognizing these things in your child before you put them out into society. And then you may as well just do the right, do the next one.
Teach him sincerity, and his own heart shall not reproach him.
That's them damn Scorpios.
You said that's what?
That's Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah, definitely Scorpio.
They're always trying to get vengeance on somebody, and that stuff repulses them because vengeance is mine, the Lord, not theirs.
Disclaimer, I'm a Scorpio. Only if they're in their Lord's will.
You want to know what? you listen, and if anybody not to be offended by that, that is the inclination, and unless you have worked on that, then that's the negative side of that. There is, of course, a positive side to all of these inclinations, good or bad, and that's why he's giving them to us. Being sincere, and you won't be repulsed. Because that is what he gave you. He gave you both the bad side of the Scorpion activity and the good side. Sincerity, no reproach. You see what I'm saying? Justice, you will be honest. And each one of them gives you the good and the bad side of it. Clarity,
bad.
Right. You see, so it's right there.
Yeah.
So you already know that this is about what side of the pole of polarity you are on and what you've worked on yourself, so that you wouldn't be a person of light come to give justice to the person who's done something wrong. You end up being in the way because you're trying to do it yourself.
Right.
So yeah, that's right. So the next one would be
teach him diligence, and his wealth shall increase.
Okay, that's the next one that's reversed, because wealth it's with Capricorn and social status. And that wealth doesn't necessarily
sound like Capricorn.
Huh?
I was going to say, yeah, that sounds like Capricorn.
Oh, it is.
Teach him benevolence, and his mind shall be exalted.
There you go.
Is that Aquarius?
No, that's sad. See, that's where it should have been sad and to be cat. But those two are reversed because Sagittarius, you said exalted. Sagittarius is the exalted sign of your knowledge. An expansion was ruled by Jupiter, which expands everything. So that is the other one that's reversed by knowing the qualities of that. Okay, go ahead to the next one. Last two.
Teach him science, and his life shall be useful.
Okay, everybody knows that's Aquarius.
Now that's Aquarius.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right. All right. And last but not least, if you're at the end, you are at the beginning. What?
The fish, the Pisces. Teach him religion, and his death shall be happy.
There you go, because Pisces is the end, or death, but there is no death. That's why it says death will be happy. Because, relating it to what? On the physical plane and on the fact that man is mine and never died. So if he has religion, true religion, which is what we talk about, then
which is the study of the stars, what we're doing today, solar eclipse.
Exactly. Exactly. So back to where you were at the 7th house, because it's an important house to all sisters, mothers, families, all of us, but especially mothers. And the reason is because you start teaching in that womb. You are suffering. And you know it's true. They come out already. You know it's true. You think that's a month in. But now, so the importance of this hinges on mothers who come in with the nation in the womb. Now you're going to, have this child and put it into society across the 7th house, into the social arena. And this is why I always said that, when we talk about, I don't know what's wrong with these children today, we have to take responsibility of what's wrong with them is what's wrong with us. And that's why we have to fix it and by using the science, That was always there for us to use, but yes, these words, but, once you do the breakdown of that and how the most popular Christian religion was established, you would see it so clearly. But so now what we're having is what? A sort of quick reset, relook in your face of all people and of all them babies you put out there that are in society causing havoc. It's simple. If we have this duty, right, of having a strong foundation. So we know this intrinsically. We say, all right, I'm going to teach my child, as a small example, manners, how to say thank you and please. Well, think about the child who never got taught those things. just never. It was just, they grew up in such chaos and stuff like that. That they, never did. And I know I'm going on the extreme, and I know there's a reality to this. There's great cases and places. So they go out and they don't have that. And then you wonder, well, what's wrong with society? What's wrong? Because they just didn't get it taught from the origins of self, of the physical self, starting with what? The fourth house. And what does it say? Teach them charity. These little things were not taught, so that's why you got it. Like, that's why it's happening like this. And now we all have to look at that. Like, we talk about, modern Europeans and who they are or who we thought they were, the slave masters who were top of us and all that stuff, and then we find out, damn, they were slaves themselves. No wonder they're in this condition. They're fearful in this condition and want to maintain slavery. That's all the hell they know, But we have to look at ourselves, too, and see, we have to really know who we are and what our responsibilities and obligations are to society. And it certainly starts with the children who put into society. But now it's the question, where do you start at? Go back to the teachings of astrology. And it will, our perspectives have been taken off track. Our, by what we have been taught or not taught. On the lack of study, even from this point. So back to the perspective of what is happening today with some people on certain portions of this land being able to see perfectly the moon encompass or appear to block out the sun in a conjunction. So even if we didn't see this, that conjunction is still going on. Dan, I didn't do this, and maybe you didn't either, but might be good to look at a chart on that day where all the other planets are. Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, you want to finish. You stopped at the seventh house because this is where we are. You want to finish going through the other houses?
Oh, I figured we kind of went through them when we ran through the cycle 7 and put in what everything meant. But we can if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. You may as well finish that. You started it.
All right. Well, if the solar eclipse fall in the 8th house, it's the tricky house. It's the sharing of the material or possession or other people's finances. The 8th house is also some people call it the house of death, but it's not in a physical. It's more on a death of things, to a death of a situation, a death of a relationship, a death of something, a bad habit. It could be a death of something, just stopping something and reborn. So it's not just a physical death. It could be physical, but I'm saying it's not that. It's more of a. It's more of a.
The word to use is resurrection. That's why, again, back to the Scorpio.
Exactly. That's why in Scorpio.
Right.
Exactly.
If you know what Scorpio and you said you are, right, one thing they can do when people say, oh, no, that can't be done, oh, no, that's impossible, they can resurrect something that people think cannot happen. All right? They're natural resurrectors. And check this out. This is why Virgo, like you said, everything is connected. Virgo is good with Scorpio in that if you were resurrecting something, you would need to know all of the possibilities. Well, that's what Virgo are. All of the possibilities and determining stuff. So
that is so right. So right. And so, because I have a Virgo friend, and I just call them when I need to know all the possibilities. So yes, and so as the eclipse falls in the 9th house, that's the Sagittarius, right? The 9th house is higher education, cultural travel, and again, what we were speaking earlier about farther traveling out on a massive scale, not just like within the community or the home, but really like get on a plane, going somewhere, expanding your education, expanding your mental, your mind on a higher plane. Just this expansion on a higher level. So that's that. So if it falls in there, that's what the big emphasis is going to be on, is your expansion on a higher plane. And or And like psychological issues, if it's on a negative note. Because remember, it's just everything all depends on where you at in your life. And so if you in that area where you're ready to take the next level, which everybody is, but what level is it that you're coming from? And so it is, everything is always a learning experience depending on where you are in your life. It's a solar eclipse fall in the 9th house. It can be that of you may be going through some religious type, psychological, ethical type, moral type issues, or you may be, coming up into your higher self on a higher plane, on a higher education, expanding your knowledge, wisdom, or even expanding your travels. Where you at? And just from point A to B. Moving to the 10th house. If the solar eclipse fall in the 10th house, in your 10th house, that's your career. That's Capricorn, Saturn. So that's reputation, social reputation, your career, the public, promotion. Even then some people put like bosses. Some people put bosses in there, or government. Some people put government in there.
Yeah. Well, because
I don't know. I don't really like putting government in the 10th house because I would just stick to public. Because when I think of legal matters, I will go back to maybe the 9th house. I don't know. What you think?
Okay, this is where we have to make this distinction. Government means governing the mental. Yes, really, it does.
So it was the 9th house, yeah.
Well, yes, it is. But then from the 9th comes to the 10th. So now you're in the discipline and order. See, out of chaos comes order, but order must be in place. It's social order. So it reflects the social order of things, the 10th house, and how you act. You know how you say some people just don't act civilized? Well, we know this because we don't have civics, but, it reigns in. This is Saturn you're talking about. So when you say, all right, the 9th house is mental, but what, again, and it's an expanded mental, an exalted mental, a higher whatever, but is that right? So therefore, there would be order, and how. Let's say you go off and you get this expanded knowledge, and of course that means you have to have mental studies or whatever like that to do so, or travel extensively to do so. But how are you going to bring that into the highest mid-heaven, the highest of the social pinnacle, which would be the 10th house, which is directly across from what? Those things that you were taught also, so it ties it all in. That's why it's the mid-heaven. It's it's vital, too, socially, because now you are just starting what in Capricorn, not the social dependent, because remember, the first 3 personal houses, which is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, are your personal dependent. But then when you go to the exact opposite of them, you start with 7, which is Libra, your partners, it's all social. And then you go into, and then Sagittarius ends what? The social dependent. Because you're dependent, when you're going out into the social, you're dependent on a partner. You understand what I'm saying? You're dependent on, what you can, the reserves or whatever like that, all right? And other people, and you're dependent on getting that education. It's dependent on a wider span and being in the social arena. Capricorn starts the social objectives, which is exactly from the 3 personal subjects, exactly opposed and how 12, 10, 11, and 12. Well, however way you want to put it. Those are 3 objectives. So your social objectives are based on your personal subjectives. So although Libra, Scorpio, and Sag are social. They are the three social dependent houses from the three personal independent. And then Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces from your subject, your personal subject. So it means that you're bringing in, after that 90-degree angle from Libra, Scorpio, Sag, now you're going into the next season, if you will. And that's why they call it the later season of your life, the winter season of your life. They use that terminology. So, again, I say to you that Sagittarius, although mental, now it's absolute intent and objective, starting with Capricorn, and that government, you got all that education, if you will, or whatever it is, or that travel. How are you going to apply it in the from Capricorn game?
In the public arena.
And without order, you know, this is why they put. And remember also why. It's because, as I said earlier, Saturn ruling Capricorn. He's the one that's going to give you your person. So you may withdraw that stuff, and you still didn't come out right. You know what I mean? Like, and you're not getting past that threshold of the social objectives unless you're correct. So this is why, again, when Libra starts and he judges you on the personal and going into the social, he doesn't discipline you. But that you're going to receive that discipline from society, period, and you may have it. So I don't know, that might.
No, I got it. It's on point. I got it. It's definitely on point. So the last two. The 11th house, of course, is focused on society and the humanity and selfless acts, which is Aquarius, which you're just saying that's the three. I mean, one of the three. And so the solar eclipse following your 11th house, you know that it's going to be focused on selfless acts and humanity and society as a whole, and really just coming together in charitable acts and organizations and groups and all of that. And then finally, the 12th house is Pisces, and so you're going to be on a spiritual growth, on a, spiritual growth. That's what I say. And even sometimes if it's on a negative, it can be fears, repressed desires, deception. It can flow. It just depends on where you at in your growth, in your walk. If it falls in the solar eclipse following the 12th house, it's a lot of inner demons coming out. But it can also be that of your spirituality, getting more in tune with self, balancing the physical and the spiritual world together, and getting that and whatever you want to add to that, Roz.
Well, the negative side, or I don't want to say the negative side, but the other side of that same polarity, that again, it depends on, as you've been saying, what side of the pole. You heard that statement. What side of the pole are you on? It means what side of that polarity are you on? There may be increased institutionalization. I'm talking on a personal level. We're not talking about these firm soldiers out here that's been doing that forever. They got something coming for them too. I'm talking about on a personal level. Sticking with this, like you said, if you have it can cause you to lose your mind. Like what's going on today, right now. The truth that comes out, that light of truth that comes out. If you do not have the proper foundation, all right, people are losing their minds. You know what I'm talking about, right? They are literally losing their minds because they didn't have the foundation. So here we are at the Pisces, the end, which governs institutionalizations, confinements, prisons, stuff like that, sane asylums and stuff like that. And also for the health reasons that we sometimes didn't take care of your health. This is where you could end up. So, that may be what happens. Because, I mean, for me and you, and yes, it is from our perspective, or maybe from everyone's knowledge base, like you said earlier, that, some people will see, some people will not. But, unfortunately, nature has no respect to person or station. It is what it is. And if it's not right, that's where you're going to end up at. That's it, and that's all. And a lot more that is happening today. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and it doesn't matter if you see or you don't see. Everybody's going to experience it. So it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what people say. You're going to experience something in some type of way, in some way, whether it's little, big, or small, and the energy is going to be felt. Whether you recognize it consciously or unconsciously, energy is there. So yeah,
exactly.
It's 3. Did what time did the show end at?
You know
3?
what? Guess what? We only have one person with their hand up to ask the question. No, 2 people. There may be these 2 questions. I believe it's 2 that someone has, and then we'll close out after that. So is that all right with you, Sister Jayana?
Sure. No, yeah, I'm not. No, I didn't know. So it's 4.
No,
it's 4 o'clock. All right.
Yeah, actually we do that to them, but yeah. So we will open up to answer any questions, and I have. All right. 803-937. You are on the air. State your appellation and your question or comment.
Peaceful greetings, beloved family. I am Hassan RVBey at Northwestern Maxim. How are you?
Islam. Fine. How are you?
Islam, I'm great. I'm glad I caught this, and when I was listening to Sons of Allah, I knew you were going to go in on astrology. So I just wanted to, and I'm so glad that you and Mother Jayana had went in on the house placements and the planets. So I have a small report. All righty, just wanted to add to you guys' wisdom because it's been an excellent broadcast for me. I've been listening since it started. I've been kind of anticipating. But to add to your wisdom of where the planets are, actually, Sagittarius will be rising when this eclipse happens at, I think it's 2:26 p.m. for the East Coast. And right now I'm traveling the South, so I'm near the South Carolina Republic or corporation, if you want to say it that way. And this is one of the areas where they've been commercially rigorous, so to speak, with promoting, different events or whatever for the solar eclipse. But I will say at 2:26 p.m. is when this is supposed to be happening, so to speak. And the sun, of course, and the moon is transiting Leo. But as far as the rising, Sagittarius is rising, and right now Saturn is retrograde. So, Mother Roz, you are speaking of how Saturn is really important in this eclipse as well. So, just very briefly, I will say that is very true because Saturn is transiting retrograde Sagittarius, and that's what is rising at 2:26 p.m. during the eclipse. Also, there's a few squares, like major squares. Like you got Uranus squaring Mercury. You have Mercury squaring Jupiter. You have Jupiter squaring Saturn. Of course, Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, and that being on the rise, it just seems like there is going to be a lot with like justice and discipline, but actual like, if some could say, I guess if some could say, like, not like in a negative finger wagging, like beat you down kind of fashion, but more of like a spring cleaning kind of fashion within self first, as always. But just to say very quickly, it does say, I'm reading actually from one of the softwares that I actually do use. I use many softwares. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Astro-logics, but it's awesome if the family wants to get like little weather reports and stuff or whatever. But what will actually happen at 2:26 on the eclipse, it says the rising, it will be the eastern horizon, of course, will be at 3 degrees, 22 minutes of Sagittarius. And, of course, this will be like a mundane report, so where it would affect everyone, so to speak, just overall. But it's saying for the world, you are known for being open, frank, outgoing, and honest. So it's a lot of energies we've been feeling that for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll be feeling it not only 2 or 3 weeks strongly after the eclipse, but for the next year and a half possibly as well. It says, at times, though, you are also blunt and quite indiscreet. Others have to learn not to take everything you say personally because you usually do not mean any harm. You appreciate living your life in a straightforward and simple manner. You dislike social niceties and consider them to be hindrances to real communication. Boom, communication with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So Mercury being home as well. Virgo's dealing with our nervous system, which is directly connected to the spine and the brain. So that's we're dealing with our communication, thinking, as well as the travel of our thoughts as well. So it's a lot of Mercury energy with this, what's going on with this solar eclipse as well, because you're dealing not only with, things of communication happening with, the Mercury retrograde. So a lot of us are doing a lot of internal thinking to cleanse ourselves and purge ourselves of things, so to speak. But also we're also dealing with kind of like, I don't know if everyone, but I know you guys are into what they namely call the occult sciences, but we're intuiting as a family. As you said, Mother Rosa, if it's all in your mind, it's all in the air, and vice versa. But we're all kind of going through feeling and thinking what's actually occurring and what's happening before it actually happens. Or I don't know if one of you guys have went through this, just let me know. Say you think something, or you say something, or you're in a phone conversation, and I don't know, you may be on like a social media, or you'll walk somewhere, go to the store, and whatever you were talking about has popped up consequentially, like somewhere else is totally different than from where you were having that thought or conversation. So I've been noticing a lot of manifestation has been taking place too, especially with what this eclipse is doing. And like you said earlier too, Mother Gianna, of course, with how we're seeing the eclipse, the ego being eclipsed by the emotion. So that's a lot of what's happening, and I can definitely bear witness personally, because for those of us that are like empaths, as they namely call us or whatever, we can actually feel the general pulse of the world. And what's happening is you'll find that when you go in different social circles, that people are generally speaking on the same things that you've been kind of thinking. So that's to kind of go to, like, yes, there's a lot of what's in the air is on our minds. So I just kind of wanted to add to that. It says, lastly, you have lots of energy and tend to become quite restless if you feel confined. You demand the freedom to do as you choose. You must be self-directed, or you feel trapped and anxious. With your abundant energy, you enjoy being outdoors, and you should be attracted to physical exercise or to those forms of sport which can help you burn off some of that excess energy. Very gregarious, you love to socialize, your innate enthusiasm livens up any gathering. So I think everybody across the planet is going with that some way, shape, or form, and in polarity as well. And just to kind of wrap it up, just wanted to kind of just, add to you guys' wisdom, because you guys got me really charged with listening to this. And when I'm looking at everything, it seems like one of the biggest players along with Saturn coming up with this eclipse is the Jupiter in Libra. And so there is about to be a lot of justice and balancing, a lot of, how they say, the Buddhist prune the trees of a bonsai tree. So a lot of us are going to be dealing with that, or as the prophet said, cutting away the ungangly, I can't really think of the term right now, but yes, you're dealing with chapter 5 in a workshop of the mind. So what you go ahead, Mother? I'm listening.
No, not even ungainly thing from chapter 5. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well,
so it's like that's definitely, huh?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Of that day.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm looking at a forecast for that. That's why I said, if you guys are interested, I'm an open source, with anything that I use. But like I said, Astro-logics. It's literally an app you guys can look up. Astrolabe is one that I use. Planet Watcher is one that I use. There's so many different softwares out there and many different literatures, especially being inspired with the zodiacal view on you, Mother Roz. It makes me want to go into the books that you said that you read as you were coming up learning the sacred geometry, so to speak. So when I dive into different texts, and I do see there are differences. Like RVBey doesn't really recognize Pluto as we recognize it now. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
how people will say, Pluto is assisting Mars or Scorpio, but I know there was a time back then where things were seen differently, and there has been progresses. So it's not for us to just kind of get into this, it's said this way and this is the one way, you know what I mean? But I'm listening. I yield.
Well, a lot of these astrologers, and I was explaining that also, even like one of the great books is Message of the Stars by Max Heindel, Heindel. Excellent book. It also gets into medical astrology, portions of how where the planet fixates and how it affects you medically. And it's excellent for that, truly excellent. But that's what it was, is that Pluto, first of all, what is Pluto? Pluto is like, as I had said before, it's filled with water, so it's like into the womb. Uranus is electricity, so it's like into, that firm, that spark, the egg. And then you have Neptune, which is where the spirit would run. So that's the trinity there. That's the, the three triune that blew out into the seven, and only into another seven on the other seven planets. Starting with the infant, you come into Saturn, and you also have to move back to that. So, back in the day, they had not, quote unquote, discovered Pluto. And a lot of the older books, they hadn't, because Pluto's on its own cycle. Pluto is a generational, the longest that stays out there in terms of its cycle, and it affects generation, like those three really do. Uranus is 7 years, every 7 years, it's full cycle, and that's why develop in 7 years, your teeth, your bones, and stuff like that. And then you have Neptune, which is 13, and then you have Pluto, which is like 28 to 30 years. So now, depending on who had what information, because it's not that Pluto was, quote unquote, discovered in 1832, according to most of those who took up the astrology studies and wrote books back then. It's not that it was new; it was always there. They just hadn't discovered it yet. So when they laid out their what governs what, you will find that they would say that Pluto governs Pisces. They'll say that Jupiter governs Aquarius, and also that Saturn governs another planet also, Saturn governs
Aquarius.
Aquarius and Capricorn.
Saturn governs Aquarius.
Yeah, exactly.
Saturn governs Aquarius and Capricorn.
Right. That's what you'll see. That's what you'll see there. So there wasn't a whole lot of writing on those effects. Doesn't mean it's not there. And a great deal, a lot of them were co-rulers. They were co-ruling those planets because Aquarius is governed by Uranus, but co-ruled by Saturn. So this age of Aquarius, that they're talking about when you look at this, and I know you've heard me say it before years ago, or I was going to taste or whatever, that this age of quote Aquarius, which is the quote age of information, that here or coming or who knows when or whatever, really is indicating that the two co-rulers of a planet, of a sign such as Aquarius, have met up, whether you see it or not, on their course. And that's exactly what has occurred. This is why Saturn is also so important at these times, because Saturn and Uranus met up, ushering in the age of Aquarius, meaning that Aquarius is that force of electricity, you know what I'm saying? And it's knocking down all the stuff. You'll notice that schools fell, churches fell, the whole Catholic religion fell, all institutions, everything has been exposed in this age of information. Behind this, and is the activity of bringing in the age of Aquarius. Now, Saturn's right there. So what is Saturn doing? Saturn's saying, all right, that's cool. All this shit fell down. And it will not be rebuilt again unless it is on the firm foundation. That's what's happening. That's what we're looking at. You know, it's like, no, you're not going to rebuild it unless it's rebuilt in the principles of love, peace, freedom, and justice. That's really what's happening. That's all that's happening. So this is why, because like you said, you can't get back to the range of Saturn. And so this is what is happening now. Now, another example of a co-ruler, my planet is, for instance,
and that's why, just to add on real fast, that's why Sagittarius is rising, because it is in Saturn, and Sagittarius is all about the higher knowledge. And so on the higher self, that's all that's happening. It's that everybody's going to get the knowledge on a universal scale. It's going to be the law of the universe more so than just that personal, what you put Gemini scale. You know, so that's why Saturn is in Sagittarius.
And that's wonderful. I'm glad you caught that, because that was the point I was going to make. So maybe not, because I just have a couple others. As another example, in Scorpio, they used to say that Scorpio was ruled by Mars, right? Yeah. Yes,
right.
Okay. All right. But it's a co-rule. And so when you start doing your studies, it all makes sense. You know? It just all really does make a lot of sense. That because Mars, Scorpio is more of the Scorpio being really ruled by Pluto, right? Right. At the inward force of activity, inward is what, but Mars is the external force. You see, that's what I already got here. So it's a co-ruler, but they had it as Pluto ruling it, because they really didn't remember all of the planets together. So another thing to mention is you had said that the Uranus was squaring Mercury. Wow, that's some deep right there for this activity, because it's what Uranus does is, like I said earlier, it comes in and knocks down all the stuff that ain't right. Okay. And so it also brings, therefore it brings certain disconnect and incomplete, if you will. It's just like having an electrical outage. You know what I mean? Like it's unplugged. So it's doing that to what? To the mind. It's forcing. It's almost like a reset force here of energy. And again, it's not like this doesn't happen all the time in its own cycles and hasn't happened before. It's just that we're able to experience and talk about it now, but also be able to see a lot of it from the North American land perspective. So it's actually forcing a reset on the manner in which man thinks. It's like it's not happening. And you also said that Mercury squaring Jupiter. So then it's like, well, look, I always got to look at this like a handoff for a minute, all right? It's how I explain it. So Uranus is saying, look, get your mind straight, disconnect all that crap, and then by squaring Mercury, and then Mercury is saying it's squaring Jupiter, because Jupiter is saying to Mercury, and if it don't happen, there will be no expansion. You will not get any reward. And it was.
Mother Roz, I was wrong, Mother Roz. I'm sorry, not to cut your wisdom. I looked at Mercury. It's Venus that squared Jupiter. My apologies. I yield the floor. Go ahead. I'm listening, though.
Is Venus squaring Jupiter?
Yes, it's Venus squaring Jupiter. Venus in Cancer right now is 24 degrees. Yeah, so it's kind of squaring. That's the three squares that's going on. Uranus and Venus, Venus and Jupiter, Jupiter and Pluto.
Guess what?
And Sagittarius as well, sort of, kind of. It's Sagittarius as well, too, but it's really a sextile to Saturn is the Jupiter. But there's three major squares, though, and you're on point, though. So I yield the floor. Go ahead.
Okay, so because now that you just did that and I wrote it down and I'm looking at it, I shall continue with the analysis of it, because it even makes it even greater. It's still the same. All of the energies are telling you a story and guiding you into, going with these energies or against them. So you got your Uranus, which is the mind and the thinking and all the bull, right? It has to go. Then you got Venus that is saying square Jupiter. See, now back to what we were talking about, the seventh house, the most misunderstood of, the seventh house means I need to have a sexual partner. No. So, Venus rules the seventh house. And partner, who you hanging with, what you doing, how you're partnering, all of that. Squaring Jupiter, which gives you your gifts and expansion. Not going to happen. It's Jupiter, so you got Venus squaring Jupiter, yep. And I'm squaring Saturn squaring Jupiter, really. It's being squared because unless you get discipline in order, you're not getting jack. You understand? I've heard of benevolent expansions and gifts. So that's your major trinity. Now, she already covered the other part about Sag rising, man. It can't. And look, and Saturn is retro. This is serious. You may not think it, but when it hits, it's going to rock your world for real. Because look, there are, when they say, and I know I have put this in the book, that the gods are merciful, not Saturn. Saturn is not one of them planets that you might want to refer to as quote unquote the gods, because that's really what they're referring to. That comes in on its cycle for 3 months, and then goes back to where it was for another 4 months, because it's always 3 and 4. Then comes back. When it comes in the first time, it gives you a taste of what's going to happen, and gives you an opportunity to get your house together, That is not one of them. It just comes. There is no mercy there. Because remember what I said, you've already been judged, or the judgment or balance, I could rather say, has already been made. It is time for the discipline for it, period. There is no question. You can't ask for nothing. It's done. That's why it's so important for us to understand how we must raise our children to put into society, because this is what's going to go down. So, yeah, this is interesting. This is very, now Jupiter and Libra, whenever Jupiter is in a sign, yeah,
Jupiter and Libra, and remember, Jupiter is squaring Pluto, sextile Saturn. I yield the floor, though, because you're going in right now. You're going in.
Okay, so Jupiter is squaring Pluto. Whoa, that's the undertone, the underbelly, the actual real current of things happening. Again, I told you it's a major generational planet.
It is. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the third and last time. So this is the third of them meeting up together, the third time. So I think it's like the final finale.
Yeah, 3 6
times. Of what meeting up?
Yeah, wait, what are you talking about?
No, you said this the third time that they meeting up. Sister Gianna, I'm listening to you. What was you saying exactly?
Yeah. I assume she.
No. I said, if I'm not mistaken, I'm because you got the internet right there, so I'm not looking at it. But I said, if I'm not mistaken, this is the third time Jupiter and Pluto is meeting up, and this is the final time of this squaring. Because they go in retrograde and come back and forward, and so if I'm not mistaken, this is the third and final time for the Jupiter and Pluto squaring, meeting up like this and squaring. So this is the finale for them.
In our lifetime. Because it's interesting you say that, because there's certain aspects that are not named but every hundreds and hundreds of years based on the travel.
Exactly.
Those are the ones that have the most significant. In fact, even this right here, from our land perspective again, happening. It doesn't happen. Like I read, for instance, back to perspective, that in 48 or something like that was the last time that there was a total sun eclipse. But that's relative, because they said no, there was one in 1990 something.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Hawaii, but only they talk from the perspective of the quote unquote pseudo-called United States. You know what I'm saying? Here, because it included Hawaii, they thought Hawaii is part of that, so you have to throw that one in. Or because it included Alaska one time, and like that. Then that was it too. But no, we're not talking about that geography. We're talking about the universal astronomy geography, but although it doesn't touch it. So with that being said, there are certain aspects that are never made, and some that when they are made, it's like a lifetime. Like you're saying, we won't see that again, not in our lifetime, in this particular lifetime, because we know we all do come back. But
indeed.
Yeah. So now, justice. Now Pluto, you got Jupiter and Libra. All right. So you got Jupiter and Libra. No, what did you say? Jupiter is where? And Libra and
Pluto.
Yep.
Pluto.
Yep, Jupiter's in
Pluto
Libra
and
and Pluto's in Capricorn.
Where?
Oh yeah, Pluto's in Libra too.
Pluto is in Capricorn. Jupiter is in Libra. And they're within They're within about maybe 3 degrees.
Okay, correct.
But it's still a square.
So now what it's saying is, you won't, again, Jupiter, you're not getting any of it. It's about justice right now. This is all about what is just. Look, talking about what you already said, that all nations have suffered slavery, and I just did not really get that, but I get it. The truth is, when we can go back, slavery is something from from time memorial almost. But really, it's from the time when we created that being and moved them into slavery, birth into slavery. But so it's a fact, like when you think about it, who is it that can actually take your liberty, can actually, say, oh, I'm the authority over you and your child and your family and your dog and all that craziness. It has to end. It has to absolutely end. So Jupiter's like, nobody gets to the transition until justice is done. And Pluto is the undertone of that. It's the undertone of that. So when Pluto comes up on the scene, whether you feel it or whether you see it or not, that's a rumbling ripple tone that is going down. So, this is really about justice, but it must be founded first in love. Love is the first. So, we have to realize that. Like, it's like, in the prophet said, for instance, he says, look, Europeans are helping, why aren't you? There's a lot of good what I call good Europeans fighting for the good fight, let's put it that way, for their freedom also, and liberty also, because when you enslave people, you end up enslaving your own and tied.
Yep.
And that's really what this has occurred. So what I find interesting is that this thing is starting in the Midwest, Oregon. Now, everyone knows all of those things out there, as I said earlier. They don't play with their liberty. They don't, leave money up there. They don't allow that, and they're not allowing that. And now they're fighting each other over there. So that's I'm not saying it's good or bad. The problem we have as Moors, and that's why we're the indigenous people of the total entire earth, is that we need to rise in our own place, take our own place amongst it there. We know that it's because of the mental slavery. But so I think that it's starting here and coming to North Carolina, where the South, where the slavery was. This is a very powerful time. All kinds of powerful, but this really is. So,
Mother Roz, for me to even be traveling the South here, not to cut your wisdom, but for me to even be traveling the South right here, right now at this time, I was supposed to have been down here checking on, quote unquote, family land. I'm saying it like that because I know better, right? But anyway, I was supposed to have been checking on that. I got here a few weeks ago, and kind of learning the area. I was traveling. I get kidnapped within like less than 12 hours of being here. I thought it was so hilarious.
What?
But really? No, I thought it was hilarious. Well, yeah, Mother Roz. Look, down here, this is what I realized, right? And this ties in with the Jupiter and the Pluto. Okay? And then I'm going to yield the floor. But it's making me think of the fire trine that we're dealing with right now as well, because recognize that everything that's happening right now, you got the moon and the sun trine Saturn and Uranus. Okay, like I want you guys to really, and it's happening in the fire signs. But anyway, right? But head, heart, hips, right? But anyway, I was down here less than 12 hours. I think I got here like 12 noon on the 22nd. By 11:30 p.m., I was definitely being detained. Of course, without any true consent or anything. But I realized that there is something going on. I'm sorry, my apologies. There's something going on to the effect where it had me thinking like this. Some people get kidnapped and be like, what did I do wrong? And I don't think it's that. What I think is actually happening, and I don't want to sound spooky or unrealistic, but the energy of our ancestors, of course, in our DNA, and when we really research what the South Carolina Corporation occupies, okay, what we realize there's so much history of birthright theft that really happened here that there's an actual energy where there are people who are more heavily, they have more carbon, obviously, so they appear, quote, unquote, browner than me, but woo, you want to talk about a European mindset. I mean, they want to make sure they got the shiniest badge. They want to make sure that you know that traveling without a driver's license is an arrestable offense, which lets me know by certain languages that they use down here, they've been reading our material. And I'm saying that they have been. I can tell because the way that policy enforcers talk now, even when I was in there, like, you know me, I'm going to still talk and share information. And they were seeing how I wouldn't, contract with them or whatever, right? Sticking with this, the Jupiter and the Pluto here.
One moment. I'm so sorry. Roz, did the other caller hang up?
Yeah.
I know it's that in that 4. So I didn't want to. I don't want to miss it. I didn't want to.
There is one other caller. I'm sorry, but we don't want to cut you. So you're gonna have to tell us about that another time. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I will. Mother Ross, I'm actually gonna call you after the broadcast. I'm gonna talk to you probably about an hour or so afterwards. And I'll just call you, okay?
You do that because you're right. This is why we're telling you. But more of the fearless are right and independent anyway because they are doing. And I've told people they do think tanks to try to figure out how to counter, and that's why they use that language. But I just want to say this for the record. Everyone knows that they're not arrestable offenses, but they want to force it to be. But everyone knows they're not. So, yes, they do think tanks to say things to scare you because they think that you're going to, back down and be afraid. Or they know you don't really know because it's sad because a lot of us don't. We're trying to get there. And they have think tanks to try to counter. It's called counterintelligence for real. So definitely call me and let me know.
I will, and I'll go in a little more because they realized that they were like they had the wrong being. They was like, oh my goodness, we messed up. You can see it in their face. But I yield the floor. I love you, Mother, so much. Thank you for an excellent broadcast. I learned so much.
Thank you for your sharing. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Islam, peace and love.
Islam. All right. All right, we have caller 973-280. You're live on air.
Islam. Sister Roz and Jan, it's so good to hear you. Let me tell you, I would have stayed on this call. First of all, I want to send out all my energies and love to Sister Anna Ada and her family, especially her mom. And I tell you, I would have stayed on this line until it disconnected. And the young man just called him the young brother. I just love listening to him. I love his energy and everything. Oh, he's so. You hit on so much there. I'm a Cancer, so you and Jayana just hit on so much today. And just going back to and I just want to say I heard Anna Ada's voice just as clear as day. Look, prophecies are coming true. When you at the top of the hour when you talked about what happened down there in Virginia, because all we got to do is step back. These people are turning on themselves now. They know that these lies are coming to the forefront, and we want to inject ourselves. Well, I should say, so-called blind people want to inject themselves in stuff that has nothing to do with us, because the people who ran them down, they were another modern European. So, but the class, oh my goodness, I tell you. Cool, and you are so right, Sister Roz. There is so much going on. I mean, just like the young brother just called, I had an experience in the bank yesterday. that was very interesting. The young man, he's going to tell me about policy, and I had my nationality. And, it was like, he said, well, I understand, I know about this, but he let me know he had no authority. And he was a young Moor. He had to call someone higher. And so he said something on the phone, and I said, is she trying to denationalize me? He said, oh, no, that's not what she's doing. I understand. But it was interesting. I'm not going to talk long because I know we don't have much more time. But, this was a great, the whole astrology, it's just so true. It's just so real. Everything Prophet Noble Drew said, it's right here in our eyes. It's right here in the front. And if I didn't understand, if I didn't get into this knowledge and information, I would be crazy, and I would be a neurotic mess, especially being a Cancer. And I have 2 Cancers. My rising in my moon sign is Cancer, and I have that Leo. So I am super, super feeling these energies. My daughter's a Leo, and she's a Leo. And she has a Gemini child. And I tell you, I mean, you hit on so much today. My son is a Capricorn. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. This was one of the best. So
you're a Cancer and your
one of the
Capricorn.
best. Huh? Yeah, he's a Capricorn.
A double Cancer,
I'm a Cancer.
And your son's a Capricorn.
And my daughter's a Leo. I have a Leo rising.
Wow.
And all 3 of my sisters are Leos. Yeah, the water sign. She's always putting my fire out, but I'm working because I'm learning to understand and work through that. She's always, every time I've got the energies ready to go and move forward, then I get into that little self-doubt, and then I said, nope, this is not going to work. We're going to do what we set our mind to do. But this astrology, it's so real. And I've been interested since I was a child, but no one would talk to me about it because they made it seem like, I even have tarot cards. But everyone made it seem like it was, a game, or it was just superstitious, or it was hairstay, and but I just stuck with it and learned as much as I could. But honestly, since I understand about nationality and who we are.
They did that when they brought in the dogma, religious dogma, with the history with Constantine and Christianity. I'm telling you that's when they made it. That's when they did that. But then we brought into that, like the prophet said, we strayed after strange gods of Europe, of which we knew nothing about. That's very real. And as I said earlier, they disconnected from the lunar calendar, which is in tune with nature and the womb, on the 28-day cycle. So, we can when you can pinpoint exactly what it is that happened, then you can, then you go on right forth with it. To correct it, as we said earlier, some people will get this, what we're going to call a reset or awakening, and others will not. But actually, everybody's going to get it. That's the truth. It's just a matter of what side of the polarity, the pole you're on, that will make the difference in how it will affect your life. But it will definitely be affecting it. Like I said, and John mentioned earlier too. Since the last lunar eclipse, but you may be feeling it more coming up on this event, in the past 3 days, 7 days, really. You'll be feeling, you don't know that because we're not in tune, but that's what it is, and if we were in tune, we would benefit so much better from that understanding. And as Diana said, the prophet said, "Well, you study. When you study well, study yourself. Then if you think you studied it all, because you'll find your connection to the universe. You'll find your spiritual side, the divine side, which really is our only protection. Because now you just said that you had a situation, and I'm gonna mention. I don't know about it, but you also said. In a little bit that you said about them trying to not accept your card or not accept you or whatever, but because you knew, you said, what are you guys doing? Trying to denationalize them? And then they had to go to what? A supervisor or someone higher up in order to, right? Okay, many of us we will go into situations where they're putting these people in the front line at the front counters. They look just like us too, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the brother was saying, they got the shiniest shoes and all that. And we won't demand or question or ask for anything other than to accept whatever they say. Why do we do that? Here's why. Because we simply don't have the knowledge. That's why. Then we go out and say, well, this is what they're doing now. They're saying that the rule is, or the law is, about whatever the hell they told you over that counter. And the only reason we do it is because of our lack of knowledge. So we do not exert or it's very dumbed down. They just got a job and a paycheck right now, and they're happy to get that because a few years ago you certainly didn't see us in those front lines. I'm going to call them front lines. Am I right? You didn't, but we projected it. We said they're getting ready to give them jobs to our own people so that we could be in a position to resist each other with that lack of knowledge, right? And the person that they gave the job to is happy as hell that they got a job. And they ain't going to let nothing happen. It's going to destroy their job, so they're going to say whatever the script they gave them. What we need to realize is that the script that they gave them does not apply to you.
Thank you.
He
was quick to recognize and say, "Oh no, we're not trying to denationalize you." Oh yeah, he was quick to. Oh my goodness, whoever he was speaking to on the phone, they heard me, and he said, "No, we're not trying to." I said, So it was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, things was, I got what I needed out of there, and it's really, really interesting what's going on. But you and Jayana, it was a beautiful, great show tonight and today, and you talked about so much stuff that's, I can see it. I can see it happening. I can feel it happening, and I'm like, and if I didn't know what I know, and that's hardly nothing, because I'll be studying the rest of my life, because at least 50 years of my life was full of lies, taught lies. So now I'll spend the rest of my life pushing that aside and learning the truth and living by truth. And I am so grateful. But I heard Sister Anna Ada just so well. And it's like she said, well, prophecies, double duality, prophecies are coming true. That's what I heard at the top of the show today. I could just hear it. It's like I felt the spirit, because these people now, they're turning on each other. They're coming out with truth. They're telling us, and we still want to get involved in their nonsense. And all we got to do is just, live right, think right, and be ourselves. And things are changing. They definitely are changing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. And so, like I said, because of this lack, there's so many different levels of things that are going on based on people's lack of knowledge and rejection of knowledge, because that's in there in the video here. For certain, this is just one little piece of it. You don't know what may occur to you after the sun and the moon leaves Leo and leaves them dictators and fake ego-seeking information from an egotistical point of view, and it leaves Leo together and enters into the virtues of man, which is mother, the virgin, the virgin. Let's see what changes are made with you. And you need to see them. We don't see them. You see them. You'll feel them. Don't be afraid of it. Just go with that energy to be a greater one and a better one, because all that we have to do, we owe due care, and we must take our wisdom to affairs of men. Just like I said earlier, people are all getting upset about the fact that these modern Europeans want to keep slavery and raising the Confederate flag. Kidneys and babies, because you have the flag of the people that you're supposed to be dealing with. You see, that's what we just ought to be concerned with, because in the end, as the prophet said, it is going to be in your hand. I know this. And Gianna, you mentioned that at the top of the show as well, I believe, that it's all going to be in our hands.
Yep.
Would you like, to add anything? Well, I really appreciate your assistance and joining in. Really, kind of assistance. We did the show tonight. night, Diana. You did all that great work to give us a foundation to discuss and expand upon. And we trust that people got something out of it. But do you want to say anything before we close out? Because we're getting ready to do that. And we thank everybody for listening as well. And I do want to say this again. Send some love to Sister Ada and her family. Her mother is transitioning and speak. Don't get upset about that she didn't answer the call on Thursday, or that's the normal day, or whatever, or the email she get right back to. So is there anything?
I just want to say peace and love to Sister Annie as well. And I'm just thankful that you invited me to the show. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody, I hope everybody got something out of it and learned something.
Oh, definitely.
I am sure they did. I'm so glad that again, that you were there, because like this is something that just came up. We didn't know that Sister Ada and I didn't know that we weren't going to be able to do what we would do. So it came up. Divine Law covers all of them, and I knew that you had already done some research on this happening. So what is great is that we can call each other and say, look, you want to share on this, and that there is someone such as yourself and others who actually are on it. And this is how we build, our information and build with each other and share to others. So, look, we didn't rehearse none of this, and it came out very well, because it's not about the rehearsal, it's about the knowing. It's about the knowing and the doing. So I really appreciate the fact that you're up on it, but you always have been. So love it, and love it more.
Yeah. Thank you, Islam.
Islam. Thank you. Peace and love.
Yes. Peace and love to you too. Now I just have to find didn't think about the closeout music, so let me find something that I can play closeout today. We'll see you guys on Tuesday at 9:30.